I just finished reading this book. It is almost entirely about living with MS, and in this video I'm just going to tell you about it and give you my thoughts. Alright, before I talk about the book, let me just say that for me, gathering more and more information about multiple sclerosis and people's responses to the disease and how they treat it and react to it and all that, getting more information about that has just been super valuable to me over the years. A bunch of books have been valuable to me relating to multiple sclerosis, and I'm going to talk about one today, but I'll talk about some others later on this channel. Also films, there's some great movies out there which I'll talk about, mainly documentaries. And then also just like info gathering online, like reading blogs, following people on Instagram, being part of social media support groups like on Facebook and whatnot. I just find all the information gathering like super valuable. All right, so the book that I'm going to talk about is Anne Romney's In This Together, My Story. And as you can tell, you look at the cover, it just looks like Anne Romney's autobiography or memoir or something like that, and you check out the back cover, this is a wild shot. You get a sense maybe it's about her love of horses, but there's really like this major through line through this book. It's all about MS. Anne Romney, if you don't know her, she is married to Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney's a Republican politician, was the governor of Massachusetts, ran for president a couple times, was never elected president of the United States, but ran up against Obama. She talks about all this stuff in the book. He also ran the Olympic Committee, I think it was the Olympic Committee, when the Olympics were in Utah in the United States, and he kind of cleaned up some scandals there and whatnot. All right, so this book is like the most unlikely book I would ever read. I didn't buy it. My mom gave it to me years ago. When I was first diagnosed with MS, she was like, honey, you got to read this book. No, I didn't want to read it. It put me off. I am full of biases. I will admit that. Totally full of biases. I'm not a Republican. I'm not into books that just look like this. It just looked like some cheesy memoir. All right, so I'm out in the country for a week, as you might be able to tell, and I've got nothing to do. We don't have TV or internet or anything like that, so I decided I'm going to read this book. I'm just going to give it a fair shake, and I think it's a pretty good book. I'm going to spoil it for you, and I'm just going to tell you the basic through line. She raises 5 kids, and later in life, she's, I think about today, in 2019, I think she'd be about 60 years old, somewhere in there, maybe 58. She raises 5 kids and gets hit with MS. She gets diagnosed pretty much right away after she gets symptoms. Her symptoms are numbness, may sound familiar to you, and psycho-fatigue, like just worn out, horrible fatigue. She doesn't seem to have like eye problems, optic neuritis or diplopia, double vision or anything like that. And she does have some mobility issues, I think on the right side, hard moving, a little trouble moving on that side, and I think she suffers some incontinence, but those are her symptoms. It doesn't seem like it's too many symptoms, just that stuff. What does Anne Romney do? She responds to her doctor who tells her go on steroids. This is like 1997. There aren't a bunch of other drugs, and maybe that's for the better, because all she does is go on steroids. It brings the inflammation down, and she gets some of her ability to just deal back. Like she's not in, like searing pain and burning and numbness and that kind of thing. What she does in life, though, which is kind of cool, this is why I kind of like the book. What she does is she finds value in athletic stuff, like being physical again. For her, that's all about horses. So she's super wealthy. These guys are totally wealthy. They weren't, I think when they were growing up, they had some money. She and Mitt, they married, they had some money, but he became wealthy through his business in Massachusetts. And with all that dough, she decides to buy a couple horses. She buys him a horse. She talks about buying him a BMW at one point. Like, she's got dough, super wealthy. She actually trains in competitive horse riding. And there's a name for the type of competition she does. Anyway, she trains for that, and she finds like this really deep meaning in her life kind of coming back to her. In addition, she gets treated with reflexology And all I know about reflexology is from this book, and basically she finds a dude, this German guy, who works her feet like really hard, like really working her feet, and she finds it gives her like this incredible relief, like this incredible sense of relief. She also does some yoga, gets into a little alternative medicine, so she's like a conservative Mormon housewife lady, and she talks a lot about the Mormon church in here. I'm not a Mormon, but I learned a lot from her about it. Anyway, she's like a conservative lady, but she gets into these alternative healing practices. She's like, why not, man? I might as well try these things out. And she finds that they really work. She gets off the steroids. As far as the book's concerned, it's published in 2015, so that's like about 15 years of her experience with MS is captured in the book, and I don't think she has another relapse. I think she's in remission most of that time, so she's actually doing pretty dang well with her MS with no meds. She does do vitamin D, and I think she adjusts her diet. She says she doesn't eat a whole lot of meat. Anyway, she's doing pretty good. Most importantly, she's got a really good perspective developed over time. She's depressed as hell for the first few years she's got MS and all that fatigue and everything, but she develops a really good perspective, like an optimistic perspective, also a realistic one. So she doesn't go out late, you know, Mitt's like running for president or whatever, and he's having big parties late at night. She's like, no, I can't do that. She draws limits, she gets rest, she realizes what she can and can't do, and ultimately, this is like one of the most valuable things in the book. I'm spoiling it. Ultimately, she finds out that she can do a hell of a lot more than she thought or that she could originally. She becomes more physically active. She actually carries the Olympic torch at one point, like running. She's got some privilege. She got in on that one. She also founds a center, like a neurologic institute. I don't know if she founds it. She kind of like helps fund it and fundraise for it and everything. She gets it going, it gets named after her. So she becomes like a really pretty active person. She even considered at one point getting into politics. I don't think she did it. Anyway, she becomes an active person, and a real takeaway in this book is that, damn it, even if you have MS, like Ann Romney does, and like I do, and like a lot of us do, even if you have MS, you can do a hell of a lot. You just gotta sort of get grounded and get healthy and get well and clean up your life, and you may have some opportunities out there that you don't necessarily think you have. All right, so anyway, this book is one that I ended up kind of liking. It was a little repulsive at some moments, just some, but not a lot repulsive. It's actually pretty cool. It's all about hope. You know, she's just like full of hope and optimism, and we need more of that in the world for sure. I'm gonna get back to hanging out in the country. We're taking a week off, and I'm just really psyched to be out here. But check this out. If you want this book, if you want this actual book, I will send it to you. I'm done reading it. No one in my household's gonna read it. They were all like, dude, why are you reading a book by Ann Romney? I had to explain it. If you want this book, I'll send it to you. Just send me a message, you know, like direct message me on Instagram or send me an email. Here on YouTube, you can find my email if you just go to the About tab down below. Send me a message if you want this book. I'll ask for your address. I will send it to you. Once I send it out, just so that everyone knows it's already gone, down below in the comments, the first comment, I will pin a comment. I will just say, hey man, the book's already been sent. I don't have it anymore. I only have one copy. But anyway, I'd be happy to send it to you. This is a new channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Spread the word. I don't have a whole lot of subscribers on this channel, so you got to crack at this book if you want it. Anyway, be well, people. If you have MS, I really hope you have some hope and optimism. I found a reminder of that in this book, of all places. I guess the moral of the story is that you will find really cool things even in places where you don't think you should be looking. All right, I'll see you in the next video.